Hello everybody, here's what's coming up tonight on Now. Experts say we can lower the risk of child abuse and neglect by teaching people how to be good parents.
And the more knowledge we have, the better his life will be.
But these parenting classes could shut down if the state stops funding them.
And Maine desperately needs more first responders, the new hiring strategy that could attract soon-to-be rookies.
It was just taking forever and ever.
As smooth as it possibly could have been.
Concert goers left out in the cold for a sold-out show. What was the holdup at security?
This is News Center Now.
With two child abuse death trials looming, the legislature is taking action. Hello everybody, I'm Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Lindsay Mills. First, lawmakers voted to move forward with an oversight investigation of the Department of Health and Human Services, subpoenaing documents related to the deaths of Kendall Chick and Marissa Kennedy. At the same time, a different group of lawmakers is being asked to block DHHS from making cuts to child abuse prevention programs, specifically the Community Partnership to Protect Children. That program works in neighborhoods in several areas of the state to help families avoid problems that could lead to abuse and help parents get children back after they have been taken away by the state. Dozens of people showed up at a public hearing on the bill to block the proposed budget cut.
This work is like no other. We've been there. We've felt the emotions. We've hit rock bottom too. Yet here we are at the other end, helping parents just like us work through the reunification process as we once did.
And is this preventing child abuse?
And it is preventing child abuse in terms of the statistics we've been keeping. It's also reunifying parents and children.
But DHHS says most of these resources are offered through other programs, and they do plan to keep parts of CPPC. And the deputy commissioner says this bill does more than protect this program. It halts other changes to child protective programs.
A move he doesn't think lawmakers should consider until after DHHS the investigation is complete.
So there are organizations all over the state that rely on CPPC. That partnership refers people to resources to prevent child abuse.
Chris Costa spoke with one of those agencies in Lewiston. Chris, they say they still see abuse happening and need help to stop it.
Yeah, Lee and Lindsay, that nonprofit called Advocates for Children reports that Androscoggin County has the state's highest rate of neglect of children. They say child abuse and neglect councils like theirs are the frontline preventers of child abuse. And without CPPC, some parents may not find those resources.
Yes. You know why that is, Mama?
Every parent knows raising a child can be tough.
For like a week straight, nonstop crying.
Parker Tebbets and his fiancée Courtney are learning the joys of having an infant.
What's that like when a baby just doesn't stop crying?
It's frustrating.
Through classes at Advocates for Children, the Child Abuse and Neglect Council for Androscoggin County, he's coping with those frustrations in healthy and safe ways for his 3-month-old son, Malachi.
People face it.
Like if I wasn't a great parent, coming to these classes could have prevented something bad to happen to him.
The Community Partnerships for Protecting Children helps families find these programs.
So before a family gets to that point of abuse, we want to intervene as a community, as providers. It's impossible for us to reach every family. We need help with other folks such as the CPPC making referrals to us.
Executive Director Gillian Roy says Androscoggin County has the highest rate of child neglect.
Not having the CPPC in this area would be really detrimental.
Are you hungry?
Leaving parents, some with kids already in DHHS care, with little chance of being reunited or becoming better moms and dads.
It's not that I'm a bad parent that I'm taking these classes, it's so that I can be a better parent.
That agency reports about 30% of abused and neglected children will later abuse their own children, continuing the horrible cycle. These child abuse and neglect councils do not receive funding directly from the CPPC, but they are getting other funding for research to find other tools, resources, and skills to give to parents. Lee and Lindsay.
All right, it is really starting to feel like spring out there, at least in the sunshine.
Yeah, we actually fired up the grill here at News Center today.
We
so
did.
Bring on those sunshine rays, Keith.
Of course, I was the one who was like, do you guys have any vegan, veggie burgers that I can eat?
Did we have any?
Gluten-free,
No, we didn't.
Oh.
We did turkey burgers, though. Those were delicious.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, it doesn't take much this time of year to feel good about it. 45 officially in Portland, 46 in Wisconsin. But as Lindsay alluded to, the sun is a big part of it, and we had plenty of that today. But now clouds starting to roll in. They're high, thin clouds, so a lot of it's sun still filtering through. And it's nice to have the sun until about 7 o'clock tonight is around the sunset. Aroostook County to last to see those high, thin clouds move in. Overall, a relatively quiet weather pattern for the next couple of days. Ridge of high pressure in place. We're going to see a couple of snow showers tomorrow night into early Sunday that could give us a little light accumulation, but that's about all we're going to see for the next week or so as far as snow goes. So hour by hour forecast, temperatures tonight aren't all that cold. They're around freezing in a lot of spots by 11 o'clock. We may dip into the 20s for a brief period of time along the coastline, low 20s inland. And then by Saturday midday, clouds increase. Saturday night, snow showers move in. And guys, we could be looking at a coating or so of snow overnight. But as you know, it'll melt fast, or a couple of inches already gone from a few days ago. We'll talk about the extended forecast, which looks a little bit warmer in a few minutes.
If I don't have to shovel, I don't care. Thank you very much, sir. All right, so we talked a lot about this yesterday. Does Maine's governor deserve $150,000 a year? Yesterday we asked you, the taxpayer, to tell us how much you want to pay our next governor. Governor LePage believes that the salary should be $150,000, much higher than the current pay of $70,000 a year. You voted for an hour and a half yesterday, and here is what you had to say.
21% believe the pay should stay where it is at $70,000, while 32% agree with LePage voting for a yearly pay of $150,000. But almost half, 47%, say it should be somewhere in between at $100,000 a year. Ultimately, that decision will be up to the state legislature. So reach out to your rep to see if you want to make sure your voice is heard.
All right, so we're going to take a break. When we come back, the Patriots team plane is in Washington, D.C., but instead of football players, the plane is carrying survivors of the Parkland school shooting. We'll tell you why.
Well, not having enough officers, it's just our resources are spread a little more thin.
And the police need more people to put on the uniform. They're getting more aggressive in their hunt for new talent.
So concert goers are mad 6 days after an experience at the State Theater.
It's typical to see a long line waiting to get into a sold-out show, but dozens of people online claim this experience was out of the ordinary, with some people waiting more than an hour in sub-freezing temperatures.
Christina Rex is outside the State Theater, not in line currently. Christina, management says this was unavoidable.
Yeah, Lee and Lindsay, the general manager tells me that the state has upped security ever since the Las Vegas concert shooting. She says that while she understands people were frustrated waiting in line, this all could have been avoided had they just showed up earlier. She also says that waiting to get in is just the nature of the concert business.
For me, it was just like going to a sold-out show at the State Theater.
It was just taking forever and ever.
They only arrived 40 minutes apart, but had two very different experiences.
Started all the way down by the church.
Dave Masana paid $35 to see Joe Russo's Almost Dead, a Grateful Dead tribute band. He says he waited in line for more than an hour in the cold just to get into the State Theater.
I had paid for the whole show, you know what I mean, and I would have liked to have seen the whole show.
He showed up at 8:30 on St. Paddy's Day, 30 minutes before showtime. According to General Manager Lauren Wayne, so did more than 1,000 other people.
We had about 1,200 people show up at the same time, and in a venue where you only have 4 doors to get people in, it's going to take time. You're going to have to wait in line.
Dave was one of dozens to complain to the state via its Facebook page, leading the theater to issue a public explanation.
It takes time to pat down 1,800 people.
A lot of people took from that we were being discriminated against because of the type of band that we were going to see on Saturday.
Not discrimination, says the GM, but yes, special security measures.
At every show, it will be you will be wanded or pat down, depending on the genre. Again, this crowd was a pat-down crowd.
A pat-down crowd, she says, because of the unusually high number of drugs security had to confiscate from a rowdy St. Paddy's Day crowd of deadheads.
Checking pockets, what's that? It's my chapstick. Checking pockets, what's that? It's my phone charger.
Dave found the process uncomfortable and was upset that he waited in line to miss the first 40 minutes of the show. But management says it simply couldn't have been avoided.
I'm not putting blame on anyone. I'm just saying, realistically, you will have to wait in line. If you don't get there early.
Now, Dave and other fans were actually disappointed with the state's response, saying it's bad customer service to blame your patrons. The GM says only 4 security guards actually fit in the small entryway to the old theater, which was fully staffed during the rush on Saturday night. Her tips: show up an hour before the show, don't try to smuggle anything in, and make sure your ticket is ready to go. Live in Portland, Christina Rex, News Center Now.
All right, Christina, thank you very much for that. Just awful news to pass along now. The 16-year-old girl shot at her high school in Maryland on Tuesday has died. Jalen Willie's parents announced last night that their daughter was brain dead and they were taking her off of life support. She passed away surrounded by family just a few hours later. Investigators say Jalen had a prior relationship with the gunman. He was killed in a shootout with the school's resource officer less than a minute after Jalen was hit.
Survivors of the Parkland school shooting flew to the March for Our Lives rally in Washington aboard the Patriots' official team plane. A spokesperson for Robert Kraft says the owner volunteered the aircraft after a personal request from former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, who survived a shooting in 2011. The survivors and the victims' families will also fly home on the Pats plane after the rally.
All right, we're taking a break. Sometimes the best apologies come with presents. Who doesn't love presents? Mark Zuckerberg announced a long-awaited change to Instagram because Facebook is weathering a PR nightmare.
In like a lion, but possibly out like a lamb. Your end of March forecast straight ahead. There is a nationwide shortage of police officers, and in some parts of the country it has reached crisis level.
Here in Maine, many departments offer signing bonuses and other incentives to get people to join up, but the Portland Police Department has had to take it to the next level and appoint one of its officers to be in charge of recruiting the future of the department.
Portland Police Department, this is Officer Phelan.
This is how Kate Phelan is spending a lot of her time these days, working the phones, working social media, working to get a full class of 12 officers ready to go to the police academy in Vassalboro this August.
Not having enough officers, it's just our, resources are spread a little more thin.
A few months ago, the Portland Police Department developed a social media recruitment team. The task was to get the Portland PD's name out there and in turn get more people interested in the job. But convincing people to become police officers can be a tough sell.
Police officers work 24/7. We're out on the streets protecting people while they're sleeping, keeping the streets safe while, 24/7. And I think people have a hard time understanding, I might miss a holiday, I might miss a birthday, I might miss a soccer game, and that's true. You're going to miss those things, but it absolutely pays off.
Officer Phelan has been pulled off of her night shift beat for now to focus solely on recruiting. As part of this aggressive initiative, the Portland PD will not automatically disqualify applicants who have used marijuana within a 5-year window, which is what used to be the case.
By no means lowering our quality, it's just we understand that times are changing, and just because you've had a little exposure to something like that, we're going to take it by a case-to-case basis and really see who you are as a total package before we make any decisions.
Now, the Portland Police Department is also allowing candidates who have been granted a permanent right to work in the United States to apply. That is new. Last year, new officers in Portland averaged an annual salary of $54,000 plus benefits. And obviously, you've got to have you've got to feel a call to serve, have a little bit of selflessness to take on that profession, and hopefully they find the right people. And we can get it done. So
absolutely. All right. Well, I'm loving that. It's just so nice.
You're like ready to go in the spring.
I really am. The windows were down today.
You two together.
Wish I had the sunglasses. Yeah, look at this smile over here.
Always sunglasses. I wear sunglasses when it's snowing.
How about at night? You wear them at night?
What were you thinking of?
Do you wear sunglasses at night?
Yes, it's a song.
You and Corey Hart?
What, Lindsay?
In Rumford, the mountain, the conditions were pristine and it was a beautiful sunny day. It was the best of all worlds.
It's great for skiing. It is.
Yeah.
I think March and April are the best time to ski if you get ones like this. And I just want to update you on the stats where we're at. Portland, over 90 inches. Bangor for the season, 109. 128 for Caribou. So all of us having a year for sure. Whether or not we're done, we'll see. Sometimes we catch one in April, right? Temperatures today were in the mid-40s along the coastline. It did feel nice with the sun angle. A lot of sun. Now some high, thin clouds rotating in, but I can just look out the window here and see that there's still quite a bit of sun getting through these clouds, so it's not going to be a problem. Sun sets around 7 p.m. tonight, and then will be a little bit more cloudy during the overnight hours. Overall, though, relatively quiet across much of the east and into the Midwest. Big ridge of high pressure in place. So anything that we get as far as precipitation over the next few days will be light in nature, just little disturbances sneaking in the cracks, if you will, of this big ridge of high pressure. But there's no big storms that we're really going to be watching out for. So that's good news. Hour by hour forecast. Temperatures tonight get to around freezing by midnight, and then after that drop into the 20s, and then we go back up tomorrow with some sunshine to start. But a lot of snow showers and even periods of light snow break out tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night, and that will kind of drift across the state and settle over western Maine tomorrow evening before clearing out on Sunday morning. After that, Sunday afternoon looks better, but not all that mild. Temperatures in the 30s. Didn't bother with the snowfall map, like a hand-drawn one here. The idea, coating for a lot of the state on Saturday and Sunday, up to 2 inches in the mountains and into some of the foothills here. So not a big deal, but it's worth noting it could accumulate a bit for them. Meanwhile, the weekly storm that we typically deal with this time will be blocked well out to sea by a big ridge of high pressure Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You'll see it sit under this ridge. It just doesn't really have anywhere to go. It actually goes backwards before getting kicked out to sea by a cold front on Thursday. So the only downside of that is it will slightly reduce our temperatures during those days, because we have the potential to be warmer than 50 on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But because of the onshore flow in places, that could cool us down a bit. Looks like our next systems will really be a shower on Thursday and then a rain event likely on Friday. But we should be, as you may note, substantially warmer. And I think there's still upside here. I think on Thursday, for example, we could be more in the mid-50s, but we'll ramp it up if we need to. I don't want to go the other way and disappoint Lee and Lindsay of the world, you know.
6 days.
6 days what?
Opening day.
Oh, yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
Good. It'll be good for it.
6 days.
For once.
Sure.
Yeah, just saying.
All right, Keith, thanks.
Katie Ortiz here for Social Stop. Let's take a live look at Mark Zuckerberg on this Friday evening. He's lost $8 billion in wealth so far this week, and Facebook shares went down nearly 11% in 4 days. Clearly, everything's going smoothly. This, of course, stems from the data mining crisis involving 50 million Facebook users. So what do you do when you finally face the public with a super late mea culpa? Well, it's obvious. You announce the next day you're modifying the algorithm on Instagram to give the people what they want, or at least that's what Zuck did. For 2 years now, we've been logging into Instagram and seeing posts from like 6 days ago sit prominently in our feeds. And sometimes when you're scrolling, it refreshes automatically and brings you back up to the top. Total vibe killer. Now, Instagram is introducing a new post button that will refresh your feed on your terms. They're also making it so newer posts are more likely to appear at the top. And that may be a win for Elon Musk, who uses Instagram incessantly, but not enough to keep him from the delete Facebook bandwagon. Today, he deleted SpaceX and Tesla's brand pages from Facebook. Now, when asked about Instagram, Musk said it's probably okay so long as it stays fairly independent. I don't use Facebook and never have, so don't think I'm some kind of martyr or my companies are taking a huge blow. Also, we don't advertise or pay for endorsements, so don't care. Now, I was going to say I want to be so rich that I wouldn't have to advertise, but mo money, mo problems. Just ask Mark Zuckerberg, you guys.
I like how you call him Zuck.
Zuck.
Yeah, they're very, Katie and Zuck go way back.
They're like
do.
this,
We're home.
but Katie's over here.
Boston days.
They went to separate schools together.
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yeah, that's what it is, so.
That's how it works. That's how it works. Okay, Katie, thanks. Today is a very important day for pet lovers out there.
It is National Puppy Day. Obviously, we want you guys to share your photos of your furry friends. Meredith says that Gilly is the world's goofiest golden. I've got a golden too. Lexi posted this picture of Bodie. Looks like he went for a swim.
Look at those puppy dog eyes.
And then Deborah shared our producer's personal favorite, the snap of Cujo Bane. I have a husky too, a 4-month-old husky. He's handsome and he knows it.
Those eyes. And the numbers show millennials love to spoil their pets. They account for more than a third of all pet parents nationwide, and more than half buy presents for their pet about 4 times a month. Look at that pug.
4 dogs at my house, and I generally like all of them all the time.
There you go. So cute. All right, I think we're checking in now with Rob Caldwell to see what's coming up on News Center Maine at 5:30. Hey, Rob.
Hi, guys. Here are some of the stories we'll have in the next half hour. For 2 decades now, families in the town of Alna could send children to either a public school or a private school and do it at the taxpayer's expense. But officials in the town now say this system is not realistic anymore. You'll hear why. And members of Congress thought they had a budget compromise that pretty much everyone could accept. But a tweet from the Oval Office shattered their confidence today. Then President Trump ultimately ended up approving this spending bill. We will break it down for you coming up on News Center at 5:30.
Sounds good, Rob. Thanks so much, and stay with us. More now when we come back.
Okay, today's Brain Drop's going to take a little bit longer to get to, but here's a statement by a lawyer that represents Chevron that was made a couple of days ago in a hearing. And it says Chevron accepts what the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has reached consensus on concerning science and climate change. So we're going to start with, does this surprise you that someone from Big Oil, I think they're the 13th or 14th biggest oil company in the world, would agree with climate change?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about how we got here, because it's very interesting. Sure. San Francisco and Oakland right now have sued Big Oil, ExxonMobil, Chevron, BP, there's a few others, for basically the cost that it's going to take them to mitigate sea level rise in their city. So they're saying you knew that you were helping contribute to this problem, you did nothing to help with it, therefore you should pay for it. I don't believe they really think they're going to win this lawsuit, but what they have got now is lawyers in court who have to make an argument. So the first slide that Chevron puts up is a statement from the IPCC that says it's extremely likely that human influence has been the dominant cause of the observed warning since the mid-20th century. So they went up and said, we agree with all of this. Why did they do this? Because they realized if they went into court saying this science is not sound, they'd lose the entire case because there is no case to be made in that regard. So they had to agree with the consensus. There's actually been several studies done just to figure out what is the consensus of climate change, and it varies between 91% and, as you can see in 2004, 100%. However, they don't want to pay. So here's their argument. Basically, they said it doesn't say that the extraction or production of fossil fuels leads to the problem. It's how people are using them. Reminds me of how tobacco weaseled back in the day. We made the cigarettes, but we didn't make you smoke them. Interesting, though, because now they're in a corner and there's no more denying left to be done, at least for them.
All right, well,
We'll have to see how this plays out.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of excited to be on the sidelines for this. News Center Maine at 5:30 starts right now.